Good evening and welcome to Encore with Zoe Ryan. Coming up on tonight's show, the return of a beloved festival to Birr, honouring the career of a renowned artist in Tullamore, and a whole lot of opportunities to take up a new hobby in Mullingar. A little later in the show, Vincent Devine will be joining us in studio to discuss his latest body of work, which will soon be on show at Esker Arts. We'll be hearing from Michelle Ruddy of Westmeath Libraries about a new project they are piloting to give people a space to practice and perhaps even discover a new pastime. And founder of Killinit Pottery Studios, Sheena O'Boyle, will be revealing why she has decided to return to education. But first, Scripps is returning to its old haunt of Birr next week. The annual playwriting festival will run from next Thursday, July 2nd to Sunday 5th in the Awfleet town. To give us a full rundown of their programme and events for 2026 is Emily Haslin, manager of Birr Theatre and Arts Centre, the festival's venue partner. Emma, how are you? I assume that with 7 days to go, the preparations are well and truly underway.
Oh, Zoe, they completely are. Absolutely. I'm just really sorry I'm not there live in studio to say hello to Vincent as well. So, and best wishes to him with his forthcoming exhibition coming up. But wonderful to chat to you this evening in relation to Scripps, our playwriting festival, and all that we have on offer.
And Emma, could you walk us through maybe the programme events that you have on this year? What festivities can we expect across the few days?
So, Zoe, I suppose the key thing about Scripps is it was established, I suppose, back in 2013 to encourage and to provide support for writers, playwrights. I suppose that their work gets beyond the pages in their notebooks and gets out on stage. So the festival actually centres around nurturing and developing new work. So following a call for submissions from writers earlier in the year, we have 3 selected writers, Lisa Costello, Elaine Maguire-O'Connor and Liam McCarthy. And they're going to be in action next Monday, and they're going to be working with our off-lease Eugene O'Brien and in a week-long residency to refine their 15-minute short play. And that will be presented at the festival finale on Sunday the 5th of July as the first reading. And it's actually presented by professional actors. So over the years, we've had various actors, but this year we have Aisling O'Sullivan, Niamh Fennessy, Kieran Messick-Green and Cathal Ryan, and to be directed by Jim Nolan. And I suppose the benefit for the writers themselves is that having worked with Eugene throughout the whole week, literally they will dissect and take apart their whole play and be sent home with homework, and then they'll come back in the next morning with a new version. And refining right up to Friday when Jim Nolan and the professional actors will take it on board and prepare it and rehearse it and get ready for presentation to our audience.
Yes, we actually had Lisa was on a couple of weeks ago here when it was announced about who the script writers were, and she was talking about how great of an opportunity it is, as you said, to have Eugene O'Brien being a mentor and to be able to really hone the craft, to see your work coming to life as well, as you said, by professional actors. But I know that outside of that, which is obviously your big finale that it's going to be concluding in, you have a lot going on as well. You've got, a play a day and you've got loads of workshops as well.
We do. Yeah, for sure. So this day week we have a Scripps alumni, Lisa Walsh, one of our writers last year. She has written a short play, Fanny Riot, but she has a full length, and she has another special play. But we're presenting Love in the Wild, which is a story, I suppose, of love and hope, and that is next Thursday. Next Friday evening we have a play, The Quiet Man. Actually, that might be of interest maybe to the historians as well, and it's written by Morgan C. Jones. And it is about 2 Dublin brothers, Barry Fitzgerald and Arthur Shields, who fought in the GPO Rising in 1916, but they actually went on to perform in Hollywood. And they both performed it in John Ford's The Quiet Man. Yeah. Or The Quiet Man. So that, I suppose, that's the name, The Quiet Man, name of the play. And Barry, incidentally, he went on to receive an Oscar in 1944 for his supporting role in a film, Going My Way.
Wow.
So, and actually I was reading earlier in the week that it was as a result of that, there was a unique moment back that year in the Academy Awards where he was nominated for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor for the same role. And that prompted the Academy to change their rules to prevent actors from being nominated in 2 different acting categories for the same performance. So it was really interesting. So that was Barry. And then on Saturday is the 4th of July. We have a lot going on the way. So I suppose the evening performance is going to be Elysium, Nevada, which is a play set in the Sunblasted retirement home in the desert in Nevada, and that has 3 performers on stage. It's kind of a dark comedy portrayal of old age.
I'm getting kind of Best Marigold Hotel vibes from that one.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit that way. It will be good fun. And earlier, actually, that day, Irene Kelleher is performing a play, Footnote, and it is set in a bookshop. Part of script programming is we like to set plays in other places other than just your black box stage. So this is set in a bookstore, and we are going to create a temporary pop-up bookshop in Barbara's old premises on the main street. And the audience will be able to enjoy the performance by Irene. She's been coming to Burr to script for many years. A wonderful writer, fabulous performer as well. So that will really be quite of interest as well.
I was just about to ask that when it comes to location, I know that, as I said, you're the partner venue, if you will, for scripts every year. But are any of the events being kind of broadened out and happening in the wider town, or is it confined to your premises?
No, it's not at all. So I suppose, Irene's piece, that site-specific piece will be performed in a shop in the main street. And actually, your audience may remember in the past we've had plays in the Bride Suite and Dealey's Hotel, and we've had plays in the funeral home as well. So it stands out, and our workshops also span out to Burr, LOETB, where we will have Emily Riley from the Abbey presenting a workshop there. We have an online workshop with Alton Pringle. Part 1 of his workshop is online on Thursday evening, and part 2 is in person in Dealey's Hotel on Sunday morning. And we also have Marco Rowe, a breakfast bite with Marco Rowe, to be kind of an interview and chat. And workshop-wise, we also have Kristen O'Reilly and Peter Kearns, and that's happens to be our theatre.
There's a good mix with the workshops there with regards to what ages that you're catering for. Like, there's a children's workshop as well in the mix.
There is Let's Write a Play with Lena Byrne, and that's on Saturday morning from 10 to half 11. And children will have an opportunity to get their thoughts together and be creative and invent characters and all sorts. And Lena's wonderful, delivers a great workshop with children, which comes highly recommended to us.
Fantastic.
And we also have one of last year's, so part of the script process is that the 3 selected writers, after they've worked for the week with Eugene and the work is presented, the Abbey and a guest judge this year happens to be Marco Rowe. They will select an overall awardee, and that person will receive consultation with the Abbey and a scholarship to a Fishamble playwriting course. But they also actually will be our 2027 theatre in residence.
Yes.
So this year's theatre in residence is last year's overall awardee, and that's Roisin Daly, and she's been working throughout this year with Eugene, with support from Eugene O'Brien, to extend her 15-minute play into a full-length play. So, there's a lot more happens, I suppose, with scriptwriters after the festival, and after they've had that opportunity and that networking opportunity, and to work then with really the cream of Irish facilitators and support and writers.
Absolutely. As we said, it's an incredible opportunity and one that we don't see coming around a lot. It's not an offering that we often see with these type of competitions. So it's brilliant that it is something that you are offering. But quickly, before I let you go, Emma, out of the whole programme, what would you say is like a standout thing for you that you'd encourage people to go along to say, I think it's something a bit different this year. For whatever reason it stands out to you, what's that item for you?
Zoe, that's like asking who's your favourite
I
child.
know.
You're not allowed to ask.
I know.
Look, I would suggest that people pick up the programme or go online on scriptsireland.com. See, because it's so varied. There isn't, there isn't one shoe that's going to fit all anyway. It is about new writing. It's about coming to experience new work that's kind of cutting edge. That's kind of, that's just imaginative, and people will have. I I'm confident they will enjoy whatever they attend. So just to check it all out on scriptsireland.com. There's theatre bundles as well, so people can buy, come as you go and pay as you go, or else they can buy a one-a-day ticket, or there's a script scholar option, and to attend and to just immerse yourself in the festival.
That's great, Emma. Look, I better let you get back to it. You're no doubt up to your eyes in it with the sunshine and everything else. But thanks a million.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Up next is an artist we haven't seen for a while. Midlands 103. You are listening to Encore in Midlands 103 with Zoe Ryan. Now, my next guest is an artist I've had on my guest wish list since I started covering the show. I just didn't have an excuse to have him on, but thanks to the soon-to-be unveiled new body of work, I finally do. I'm honoured to be sharing a studio right now with a fellow Tullamore native. It is none other than Vincent Devine. Vincent, thanks a million for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Vincent, you have a new show coming up, Regenesis. And I say new, but it's actually a mix of some of your existing creations from different timestamps over your career.
Yeah. So I had a solo show in London a few years ago called Ellipsis. It was kind of like a sense of pause. So I took a little bit of time, things changed in my life. And obviously, like life imitates art and art imitates life and vice versa. So I kind of took a bit of a pause to kind of see where I wanted to go and reflect and kind of lean into kind of different opportunities and stuff. And this show is called Regenesis because, I just recently turned 40 a few weeks ago, and I kind of always wondered where I'd be when I was 40. And I can't imagine it would have been here. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised at where I am.
Okay, that's good
and
feedback.
it's because I've kind of just allowed kind of the stream to kind of lead me where I needed to lead me. So it's been, this exhibition Regenesis is kind of what's next, and have a kind of a look back on what's gone before, just as a way of kind of, maybe looking at what the future trajectory is and just get a little bit of an idea, because sometimes I have no control. I just kind of go with flow,
Yeah. Because it's interesting. It's been described as a mid-career exhibition. And as soon as I saw that description, the thoughts of midlife crisis is coming up in your head. Yeah. But if we look back on a career, what a career it has been. I mean, we'll go through some of it now, but to you, is there any standout moments from the career for you?
I had a conversation with someone recently, and I think when I kind of opened myself up to the wider world, really kind of gave me a perspective on really taking other people's opinions in and kind of allowing my practice to become more malleable. One of the highlights would have been when I had my sellout show in Dublin. And what happened was I did a show in Hong Kong. And my logic around it was Hong Kong's tax report. I can just walk in, sell all my paintings, walk back out, pay no tax, happy days.
Okay, how did that go?
Not great.
Right.
I came back kind of having to pretend everything was great, and it wasn't a particularly good show. And what happened was I did a big triptych of Francis Bacon after seeing his documentary A Brush of Violence, which I suggest everybody watch, but it does come with a disclaimer. It's very heavy watching, which ended up resulting in the painting that I ultimately did, because what happened, Zoe, was sometimes when I watch something or take something in, it kind of takes root in my subconscious, and it's not until I paint it actually gets it out.
Yes.
And that Francis Bacon triptych was one of them. And ultimately I had a sellout show to a huge collector up in Dublin. And what was funny about it was when I put the 80,000 price point on it, everybody kind of sneered at me in the show, so all my peers. It wasn't a sneer, it was more of a kind of, well, if you get that, fair play to you. And my view on it was, it was actually, the value came based on the show in Hong Kong. And I just said, look, I'll just put it up on the wall. I've nothing to lose. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you don't ask, you won't get.
Exactly. And my thinking around it was, there's so much money in the world. Why can't, we all have something individual to give. Every single one of us has an individual output. Why can't we have some of it? And that was my thinking. And they said, well, there you go. And then obviously Thursday preview evening came. Didn't sell. Friday, losing the will to live. Saturday, I'm going to jump in the Liffey. And then Saturday, actually, I sold it. And that allowed me then, you see, but people kind of fixate on how much you're selling stuff for. It allowed me the cushion, Zoe, then to actually really dive into the work and figure out whether I wanted to do this long term.
Yeah.
And then that's what kind of led me to Vicky Phelan then, and kind of sitting with Vicky and, looking at researching these people's lives, which started at Francis Bacon, went into Vincent van Gogh, which is going to be at the show. into the life of Albrecht Dürer, who a lot of people wouldn't know, German printmaker.
Yes.
People will be familiar with his hands, the praying hands. That was a good old Albrecht Dürer. And then it led me to Vicky after having researched all of these people's very interesting lives. And that was really, really a highlight.
But something that we hear time and time again on the show is the likes of the basic income from the arts. It offers artists exactly what you said, time, because that's the thing that's not on your side. We have all these pressures with society that, you know, they say money's not everything, but you need money for the world to keep moving. So it'd be great if, you know, creatives could just go into their studios and into their world and take as much time as it needs to create, but the world doesn't stop around them. And that's why, as you said, even though money isn't everything, it allows you the time to be able to focus on what you should be doing, which is your work, and then come out of it with, I suppose, that clear head of being able to say, I could breathe, I could be creative. I know myself, you know, just before we came on air, you said, you know, I work well under pressure. I'm not sure I'm one of those people, because I can probably get the work done, but I can't work creatively when I'm under pressure. The creative juices don't flow, you know.
And my thing to that is that when I'm under pressure, I don't second guess myself. So when something is to a deadline, Vincent, time pressure's on, just get it done, get it over the line. And then I kind of get into this flow state where for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'm in complete flow, because I know I can't get into that state of kind of stopping and stagnating. And a lot of people don't realise the creative process. It's a lot of actually what you don't do as well, as much as what you do. And people say to me, well, how much do you charge? You know, do you charge per hour and blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no, lads. I said, I charge per year. I mean, there's so many years that have gone into actually developing my practice. Yeah. And you wouldn't believe how much I've charged at a canvas and have made an absolute hames of it. And it takes kind of doing a small bit, standing back, watching it. And people say, sure, that fella's sitting there looking at the canvas, doing nothing. Yeah. But I'm absorbing, I'm taking it in. I'm trying to imagine what the person's going to experience in front of it. I'm trying to see if the composition works. I'm trying to see if it kind of... there's an art to the art in and of itself. And it's something, Zoe, I can't really fully put my finger on. I'm just lucky.
Yeah, you don't understand it. It's just
there. It shows up when I need it. And Billy Connolly said that most famously when he goes out on stage to do his comedy. He said he doesn't know where it comes from, but it always shows up. So I'm very grateful mine keeps showing up.
Yes, it just comes natively to you. But how are you feeling at the moment ahead of the exhibition? That's coming up soon. Give us the dates for that as to when people can call on down to see it in Encore Arts.
Yeah, so the exhibition is opening on the 4th of July, which America celebrates 250 years as well. So there is actually a nod to that in my Daniel O'Connell portrait. Right. So I encourage people to come and see that. And it's opening at 3 p.m. and it's open invitation, so everybody's welcome. And then it runs to 26th of September. So there's plenty of time to see it if you happen to not be able to come on the 4th of July.
And you were saying that it's going to include work from over your career. So if you were to compare maybe some of the work that you created in the early days to now, how would you describe that transition? For you, how do you feel it has changed and evolved?
I was very process driven. I'm kind of a very logical creature, so I like logic, I like facts. And it's only in my recent residency in the Global Brain Health Institute working with dementia patients that I've really been tested and pushed in how to make my practice more malleable. With the cancer research stuff, I mean, I started off very much kind of researching with Francis Bacon, Vincent van Gogh, who are heavily documented. You know, these are people that have had, you know, autobiographies and things written about them and papers and have been highly studied, to people who I'd never met before, who I really had to hold that space for and try to find out the things that really were very important to them and valuable to them and how I was going to represent that through my art. And that took me having to be very, very changeable and be very malleable in who I was sitting in front of and how to hold space. But I've been very lucky that in my actual life I met incredible people that taught me how to hold that space. One woman called Kate Murphy-Flynn, a retired solicitor who since passed away from breast cancer, which the more poignant part of it is that if I had done the work I'm doing now, I probably could have extended Kate's life significantly, because I would have been aware that she had secondary breast cancer. And that really gets me. But what I do is I kind of live in the awareness that she's still there. All the things she taught me are still there. I mean, as a retired solicitor, she had such wisdom to give in, you know, sitting with people who you agree with, who you disagree with, who you don't align with kind of morally, valuably and stuff, and how to kind of get the best from them. And I've been very lucky to sit across from people who have overcome incredible odds and adversity, and it's really helped me in my personal life and in my practice with how to kind of, you know, get this stuff across on canvas.
So the process has changed, but stylistically wise, how would you describe that change?
stylistically, it's still mine. I mean, I'm very lucky that I always had my own unique kind of visual signature.
You do, a very distinctive look, yeah.
And a very interesting aspect of this is some people have said to me, what psychoactives do you use?
Okay.
Yeah, and I gonna said, no, none. I'm anti-drugs. And they say, oh, well, I see that when I go on a trip. Or like when and I'm kind of going, that's just me. But it's interesting. I'm doing more work on the neuroscience as well. Apparently, artists pull from a part of their brain that sometimes doesn't become active until people start to experience neurodegeneration.
Really?
And it's all really interesting. So, like, I'm the guy, if I have access to a neuroscientist, I am ringing her, Dr. Anusha Mohan. And I'm ringing Anusha and saying, Anusha, what does this mean? And what does facial recognition mean? And she's really kind of active in saying, well, let me send you on the papers and stuff.
Yeah, let me break it down.
So I'm really trying to kind of get to the deeper kind of the nuances of what creativity is now. This is my new interest.
Okay, so this is possibly the new direction for
possibly,
the art to take. Yeah.
But it's getting very scientific and very kind of intellectual. And sometimes when you measure something, you alter it. And I'm a bit nervous that in the measuring, it may alter my ability to do my output. But I guess we'll just see. We don't know. This is where things are moving towards.
But if we look at maybe some of, you said those iconic paintings, like the tree kind of series comes to mind, where it's obviously, it's not a tree that you're painting, but it's in the form of a tree, it's turning into these shapes. Very organic, very natural. And you've said before that, a lot of your pieces, they're inspired by art in the natural world. But yet some of the work you've been doing in more recent times seems more mechanical. It's very heavy on science, very heavy on, as I said, the kind of tech stuff. But yet it still has that soft edge. It still has your very natural look to things, but it is looking at more scientific matters.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. And it's interesting when I kind of stand back and look at them. I've kind of developed my own surrealistic kind of world, we'll say. I kind of call it my own universe. And the way Quentin Tarantino built his own universe, I kind of took inspiration from that. So I'm building this kind of visual universe where I put things in that people can reference with the cancer work, with the trees and stuff. And they're all kind of moving and melding from one into the other. And the idea is that when I look back at my work, I can see this kind of thread throughout. But it is nice to kind of move between kind of different styles and stuff, because I can get quite bored doing one thing. And that's sometimes what artists aspire to. They say, well, I have something that works and let me just do it over and over and over again. And I like to always have something on the side. So when I do portraits, I was doing the trees and then moving into different areas of science. So it's this innate curiosity that I have, that I just want all the answers. And like when I was a kid, my mother couldn't buy me enough encyclopedias, and she used to make up just lies to shut me up. She was like, why is the moon following us? Oh, there's a string attached to it. And I believe that, Zoe. Like this is where my imagination must have came from, because my mother used to tell me, she said, oh, Vincent, I'm so sorry. She goes, you just never stopped asking questions, and I just couldn't answer you. You
get to that stage. Like, my nephew does it, and you just go, that's just the way it is. God made it that way. Because you're out of answers, do you know? But yeah, we have to remember that what we say to children does very much shape their creative, side and everything that they believe. But we're talking about the career. And I suppose, obviously, you're an artist, very heavily focused on the paintings. But you've done things outside it. Like, how did it come about that you ended up on a TED Talk stage?
Oh, the TED Talk happened with Vicky's painting. So what happened was Vicky's painting was touring, and it was up in UCD in the Conway Institute. And there I met Professor Gallagher, and there I met Janie Lazar as well, who, when I stand up in front of the painting and talk and tell the story of Vicky's life, because that's really what it is. It's not really about me. It's about part of the process. But really, when I stand in front of these paintings, it's about the story of the person that's the sitter. And Janie seen it and was so enthralled by the process of it and the artist process, that side of it. She wanted me to do a TED Talk about that side of it.
Right.
So that was incredible. Now, nerve-wracking. I was the last one on.
Okay.
And I don't usually get nervous, but that was nerve-wracking.
So, as I said, the current collection, I won't say new collection, because is there any new pieces in it?
There is a new one of Daniel O'Connell. And that's kind of a natural progression from my John Hume. And there is one of a former founding director of Midlands 103, which is Johnny Flanagan.
Yes.
And the Flanagan family commissioned a portrait and are generously donating it to the centre for the duration of the exhibition.
Right.
So people can come and see the life of Johnny Flanagan. So I got to know Johnny before he passed away. And he used to come to my gallery, and he'd kind of come randomly, and he'd come in for maybe a few hours, and he'd come in for an hour, and people would say, is that Johnny Flanagan in your studio for an hour? People can't get him for more than 10 minutes. And I think people at that stage of their lives, Johnny was in his 90s, and I think he wanted to kind of really impart a bit of wisdom and kind of hold that space for me. And then I in turn held it for him, and then we did the portrait. So I would welcome people to come and have a look at that as well. It's a lot. It really humanises the man behind the businessman. And I think that's from working very closely with his family, and I'm just absolutely thrilled they've given me permission to show it to the public, because I think it's something that needs to be seen, especially for the people of Tullamore.
Yeah. And Vincent, a couple of decades into the work now, surely there's more decades to come with the great work. But for anyone who's maybe just starting out their journey now, any artists who they're just getting into the game, any advice that you'd have from maybe the reflections that you've been going upon through this process? That's
such a good question. And it's something I don't get to answer enough, because a lot of people don't ask it. I didn't just arrive here. I mean, I've gone to exhibitions where people haven't showed up. I've gone to exhibitions where I haven't made a penny. I've shed a tear on the way down, have not made a penny on the way back down. And you have to just keep going. You have to open yourself up to every opportunity as it presents. Can you do this? Even though you might not be able to, yes, I can, and figure it out. And in the learning of it, even if it's a failure, there is a great lesson in the learning of what happens when you fail. And it's about kind of really, and also I would say to people about their own work and developing their own work and getting out there, is try to develop a way of articulating your inner world. Don't give yourself completely to everybody. That's ridiculous, right? Because people will take that and they will abuse it, especially as highly sensitive people as artists are. We're highly sensitive. We view the world a whole different way, and we feel things incredibly intensely. And there is a way to articulate that to people and about your own practice and your own work. But it's just about trying to put yourself out there, and just remember, you won't do it perfectly. Everything is imperfect, but just try your best and just see where it leads you, and just don't resist.
Some words of wisdom there.
Thanks so much.
Vincent, thanks a million. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks so much.
And Regenesis will be opening in Esker Arts on Saturday, July 4th, and will remain there until September 26th. So you've plenty of time to call in. Vincent, if people want to know more about you and your wider work, where can they go?
So go to www.vincentdevine.com, or my Instagram is @VincentDevineArt, where I should be putting up more stuff, but put me under pressure.
We're busy with the show.
Yeah,
so
request
maybe
more content, yeah.
Well, we know what Vincent's craft is, but have you found yours? Or are you a serial hobby starter, but nothing sticks? If so, this next one's for you.
Midlands 103.
It's Zoe Ryan with you until 8 p.m. tonight for Encore. Now, you may be familiar with the term BYOD, but what about BYOC, Bring Your Own Craft? After getting expressions of interest for holding such an event, Mullingar Library decided to pilot the programme, holding several sessions across May, June, and there are 2 left to come in July. So earlier today, I caught up with Michelle Ruddy, Executive Librarian at Mullingar Library, to discuss the social experiment of sorts. And this is what she had to say.
So originally the idea came from a member of the public, actually, and they approached us wondering whether we'd be willing to consider setting up a group. This particular person is an avid crafter, but she found that a lot of the crafting groups in the area were daytime groups.
Yeah.
She herself works full-time, and she recognised that there was a gap maybe for people that work during the day, or maybe have caring responsibilities, or just that the daytime group doesn't suit them for whatever reason. And she was moving into a stage of her life where she had a bit more time in the evenings and wanted to get out and maybe meet other people, other like-minded crafters. I suppose crafting can be a solitary endeavour, and she felt that the group having a social focus would allow people to meet each other and share the projects that they're on, not necessarily working on the same project, but just being able to take an interest in each other's work and spend a bit of time with people that have the same interests, really, and just chat and learn from each other as well, but with the main focus really being the social aspect and getting out there and getting to chat about the crafts. So we were totally on board with this idea when she proposed it to us. We thought it was a great idea, and she was right about there being a gap. It wasn't something that was commonly delivered in libraries anyway.
No.
So we said we'd explore it and see how it goes on a trial basis, first of all. So we set up the group for 5 sessions, and it runs on the Thursday evening every fortnight from 6 till 8 p.m. And once this block is done, we hope to run more, because the turnout has actually been really good, and the variety of crafts that are actually coming through that people are bringing is really interesting, actually. There's people bringing all sorts. So there's Susan herself does embroidery, and then there's another lady doing circle knitting. They're circle knitting a T-shirt.
Okay.
somebody's doing stained glass. Now, obviously with stained glass, there's certain aspects of it that you can't follow through on in a library. So the bits that they can do in the library, they do, and then they bring it home to finish off the soldering part then at home. Somebody else is doing watercolours. Somebody else is making little birds out of fabric. So, but you can see there's a really diverse range of crafts there that people are bringing to the space, and I suppose everybody then gets a chance to hear about all the different types of crafts, and maybe that might generate a bit of interest then in other endeavours as well. So it's booking required. You can book the session on our library website through Westmeath Culture. It's the handiest way to find the booking system, but if people can contact the library as well here, and we can book them in too over the phone or by email. People bring along their own craft materials based on what they're bringing in, and then as well we say to people if they want to bring a snack as well. It's kind of a communal. If they want to share as well, that's perfectly fine too. Now, while the main focus of the group is social, Susan is experienced in cross stitch, so she's actually offered to share materials and knowledge for them to learn the art of cross stitch as well. So so while there is the social element, there's a little bit of teaching there as well if people are interested in learning new skills. It sounds like the group that's there already are willing to kind of share bits of information and their own skills amongst each other too. So it's kind of a communal effort, which is lovely. Overall, like even it's lovely to be able to, there's many traditional social outlets such as the pub or, people engage in sports, but it's, I suppose, a lovely setting and a nice group for people who share the same, have like-minded interests, that maybe those other social outlets aren't for them.
Yeah, and you're right. When you think about crafts, a lot of the time they can be very solitary and individual activities that people just kind of engage in themselves. You don't necessarily need to be in a group or in a team, but for that reason, I suppose it can be maybe like a little bit of a lonely experience, or you mightn't want to just be sitting at home doing it. So this does offer then that communal space where people can come together. And even though they're doing different crafts, they can just sit there and be amongst other crafters. And as you said, maybe even be inspired to look and go, oh, do you know what? I wouldn't mind giving that a go.
Exactly. That's it, yeah. And then the other point that Susan made was, she's quite experienced with the crafts that she does. She doesn't need to necessarily sign up for a class, and she found she was coming up against that, a lot of the things that a lot of her crafts maybe were paid classes, and she's at a stage where she didn't actually need to attend a paid class. It was more that she just wanted to get out there and do it with the group kind of and meet other people. So the group is free to come along to. There's no cost involved in that. Obviously you bring your own materials, but it's kind of very low key as well. It runs from 6 to 8, but there's no pressure. If you turn up at 7, that's fine as well. It's not like you have to be there specifically on the button at 6 and stay till 8. It's kind of to meet the needs of people with busy lives, and it's just if you want to come along at any stage of it, you can pop along. So so it's so far so good anyway, and we're hoping that it'll continue to grow strength to strength as well. So yeah.
And is it something that if you find, you said this is kind of a pilot basis, you've decided to run the 5 nights, see how it goes, see if the interest is there. If the interest is there, is it something that you would consider running long term as maybe like a fortnightly occurrence in the library?
Yeah, definitely. For things that have a good showing, a good turnout, and there's a clear community need or demand for it, we definitely look at making it a more permanent fixture on the schedule. So we do get lots of requests for different types of projects or group meetups and things like that. So we always kind of give it a run to see if the interest is there. And definitely if it is, every library runs their programs based on community need. We try to address the needs of the community and the wants of the community as well. So if this is something that the locals want and they're turning up and they're showing us that it's something that they want to continue, we will listen, and we'll definitely look into running again. Even at this stage, we're pretty much saying that we'll be running it past the 5 sessions because of the response so far as well.
And it's a great incentive, because I know even one of my friends looked into this a couple of years ago, where she was exploring the idea of with the likes of arts and crafts and hobbies, even as you said, that's taken up sports or anything like that. We see children do it all the time. It's like they do it part and parcel with school, or there's loads of after school activities. But it's really hard for adults to maybe take up a new hobby, because like that, the spaces maybe aren't there. It's very much like an individual one. So there's no one really standing over them, see that it's done. And sometimes people want to take up a new hobby for it to be a communal effort. But the likes of your crafts aren't always. And when we look at the likes of, you've mentioned there about maybe sports or gyms, there's a membership involved there. So there's a monetary value put on it, and maybe it's not feasible for everyone. But with your crafts, sometimes you can get the materials quite cheaply. And as you said, it's all about the community aspect of it when you are looking to develop a new hobby. So it's fantastic that the library have recognised this, and you're saying that you're listening to the people in the locality and giving them what they want.
Absolutely, indeed, yeah, and that's it. And even like with the crafting, with other kind of craft groups around, you know, you may join a course to like the gym, or that you might join something to do an 8-week course, but then at the end of it, that's done. You might never meet those people again. So this is a kind of opportunity for people to make those connections and build their relationships and their community connections. And as well as just, I know we mentioned about the cost of materials. Every quarter or so, Mullingar Library holds an arts and crafts swap as well. So, you know, sometimes we have a lot of, you know, you might take up a hobby and invest in it and then lose all interest, or you might decide it's not for you. So every couple of months we have an arts and crafts swap here in the sensory space in Mullingar Library. So you can either drop off the stuff that you no longer use, or you can come along and you can pick up some bits and pieces for your new hobby as well. So it was just to mention that too. It ties into this into the whole crafting area as well. So you know, it's another cost effective way to start a hobby.
Yeah, because I know, as I said, for the most part you can take up a craft that is quite cost effective, that it's not going to cost the earth, but they do still cost money as well. And like that, there's so many people I know, even myself included, that you have the best of intentions, you get all the bits in, and then maybe you just find that this particular craft that you were going to take up, it doesn't fit in with your lifestyle, you just don't have the time to give it to it, or you just don't take to it and you're left with the material. So it's great that you are offering that service where people can recognise that and say, okay, it's sitting in a box doing nothing in my house, may as well pass it on and allow someone else to benefit from it. So it's that circular economy, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm like you, Zoe. I have cutting mats and balls of wool and all sorts of things that I was hat making for a while. So it's just lots of materials left over with the crafts of the past. Yes. So like the arts and crafts swap was great to be able to donate bits to, you know, and you know they're going to somebody who's got fresh eyes and wants to try a new craft, you know, so it's going to a good home, and it kind of, like you said, contributes to the circular economy as well, that it's not going to waste.
Now, if that sounds like something of interest to you, there are 2 nights of the pilot run left. They are July 2nd and 26th, both Thursday evenings. And you can find full details about them on the Westmeath Library's website or on their social media platforms. After this, I'll be talking to a lady who decided to take her hobby and turn it into a profession.
Midlands 103.
We are into the final segment of Encore on this extremely hot evening. And speaking of hobbies, have you ever tried your hand at pottery? Well, my next guest certainly knows her way around a kiln. That is essentially the oven used to fire pottery pieces. Waiting on the line is founder of Killing It Pottery Studio, Sheena O'Boyle. Sheena, thank you for agreeing to take my call.
No problem. Nice that you called.
Sheena, you have a very busy weekend ahead of you. You're running back-to-back pottery shop workshops in Quigg Studios in Mullingar this Saturday.
Yeah, we have 2 workshops on Saturday, one from 12 till 2 and the other is from 4 till 6. And I'll be hosting pottery workshops at those times. So it will, looking forward to it.
How did you get into the business of, I suppose, firstly doing pottery yourself, but then deciding to extend it out and go that bit further and say, I'm actually going to do workshops and teach other people how to create pottery?
I have a degree in design, and within the degree, ceramics was a huge part of it. And I realised then that I absolutely love ceramics. But then when I went in and I graduated, I went into the real world. Ceramics wasn't part of the job descriptions that I was going into, so I've had it as a hobby for a long time. And then just in October last year, I decided to just pull the trigger and get a kiln and get a wheel and just set up a studio. And yeah, it's been going ever since, and I've been absolutely loving it and I realised as well that I absolutely love working with people through other jobs that I've had in terms of volunteer work and organising fundraisers and stuff within the charity sector. And realised I just love working with people and teaching people. So I said I'd do that. So that's how I got into it.
That moment where a creative decides to take that leap of faith, if you will, to say, okay, I love doing this. Don't know if it's feasible for, finance reasons, but I'm just going to go with it and I'm going to try and make my craft a career. What was the presiding decision for you there? Like, what was it that was the main influence that made you say, yeah, I'm going to go for it?
I would say the main influence was actually just realising that life is so short, especially with all not to mention the awful COVID, but just the fact that we got out of that, and I don't know, I think it was just that I was looking for a career change, and it was just something that came over me, and it just felt so right to just go after it. And that was it. I got a loan to the credit union, and I haven't looked back ever since. So
and thus Killing It was born.
Yeah, I had a good few names for the studio, and especially my name. I was thinking of using my own name, but it's Irish, and a lot of people can't pronounce it when they read it. So I had a couple of names, and I put it out to family and friends, and Killing It came up as the most popular one. So that's what we went with.
It's brilliant. I do love the name, but a problem that I encountered when I was trying to look up about, maybe your platforms, about how I could advertise it for you, was it seems to be a very popular name amongst pottery studios. So there seems to be a lot of people with it, and then there's multiple websites. Is that something that's come up as a problem for you yet?
It has in some cases, but I think I've just went with the flow now, and people within the Midlands seem to know me now a bit more, at least, so that's good.
Okay, so we've decided to go with it, created the studio. How has it been going? How have workshops been received by people that you've put them on with? I know because of the nature of it, it's limited spaces that are maybe available in the workshop. So do you tend to get a full house with the workshops?
I do, usually, yeah. I think this one that's coming up now, I was surprised it didn't get as much uptake, but I'm presuming it's just because we're in the lovely weather we have now. I'd say the winter time would be a lot more popular when there's nothing we can do outside, but it's been going really well, and I've been getting some fantastic feedback. So yeah, it's been going great, and I was actually in Bloom Wellness there for one of the first workshops, but unfortunately they had to shut down. So thankfully Couga is a lovely space that I can go in and use. So it's great.
And what can somebody expect from the workshop? If anyone's listening and thinking, yeah, actually, I might want to try my hand at that, or maybe pottery is something that they've done before and they're thinking, yeah, I might like to go along to that. But I suppose it's worth saying as well that these are beginner friendly, so you don't have to be someone who knows it. But what can people expect of it? Talk me through your typical workshop of how the run of events tends to go.
So it's usually a 2-hour long workshop, but sometimes it runs over a little bit, which I don't mind, especially when everyone's trying to get that last little bit of detail they wanted to add on. And so when you come in, I ask that everyone brings an apron, and if you don't, I provide an apron, and we all just sit at a table where I have the clay and all the tools set out. And then for the 2 hours, then I instruct the participants on how to create either a pot or basically like either a cup or a pot or a plate or a bowl, anything like that. And it's all beginner friendly, so all the techniques are really nice and simple and easy to follow. And because it's such a small group, so I used to do a max of 12, but now I do 10 because I found that that's the best amount of people that I can really guide everyone properly. So yeah, that's really it.
So that's what people can expect from the upcoming workshops. But what's coming up for you? I know that you've decided to go back to education and to do a course in a relevant field.
Yeah, I found out there during the week that I got into a level 8 ceramics course in Thomastown in Kilkenny, and if anyone knows of that course, it's a really good high level course within ceramics in Ireland. So I applied for that because I realised that my knowledge is limited through self-taught. Like, I've been self-taught mostly beyond my degree, and I realised I wanted to actually become a much better teacher for the future. So I said I'd have a go at applying for it, and I got it. So it's fantastic.
Well done. And when is that starting?
That's starting in September. So unfortunately the workshops will come to a halt because it's a full-time course. But I think in the future, in the long term, it'll make a huge difference.
And I know you've said that you kind of wanted to do it because you wanted to maybe broaden your own knowledge, but did you feel that it was important to maybe go back and do this additional course for, I suppose, legitimacy reasons, so that when people see you, it's nearly like the blue tick to say, oh, I'm certified in the area, like a seal of trust?
Yes, definitely. And even through the Design Crafts Council of Ireland, they're the ones that are actually delivering the course. So there'd be a huge support to craftspeople within Ireland. And if I do a course through them, then it just makes absolute sense that I would get support. Well, you'd hope I'd get support from them in the future, which it does. Yeah, it does give the green tick. Or the blue tick, whatever it is. Yeah.
The necessary evil sometimes in this work that we need to kind of go ahead and get that step further to say that we're certified in these regions. But Sheena, it's been lovely talking to you, and best of luck with the workshops at the weekend, and hopefully we'll see you back in the Midlands again before you take a brief hiatus once you start the course.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be doing one at least once a month for the whole summer. So
brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for your call, Zoe.
Fantastic, Sheena. Thanks a million again.
Okay, bye.
And you can check out Killin' It. That's Kilit. Yeah, I've messed that up. Kilnit, Killin' It Pottery Studios, and they're at killnit.potterystudio on their Instagram. And that's it from me tonight. I see that Joe Cooney is in the building, so he'll be with you bringing you Country Roads right up until 10 o'clock. Thank you very much to all my guests this evening. It's been a really enjoyable show and a nice well-rounded show. We always tend to try and get a nice little bit of a mix going on the shows, and I think we achieved that tonight. So until next week, good night.